Well, it is now mandated in Toledo wearing a mask in public places to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. But what if you're feeling a bit claustrophobic about that situation? Psychiatrist Dr. Victoria Kelly is here to help us manage our mask wearing anxiety. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, this is becoming the norm for us now, and we're all trying to do our part to stop the spread here. But I mean, let's face it, it's not comfortable, right? Wearing this mask on our face for,
Right,
long periods of
not at
time.
all. Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that, like, when people wear a mask, there's actually a few things that end up happening in our brain that actually triggers some of the anxiety. One of those things is our face is very thermosensitive. And so for people who are prone to anxiety, their brain actually interprets it as a threat. And so they do literally get anxious when their face gets warmer. So that's one thing. The other thing is, it's going around on social media that there's this sensation of increased resistance to airflow going in and out. And what they found, it's absolutely proven, it does not affect your oxygenation. Healthcare workers have routinely worn masks since about the 1920s. And of course, the fact that we even have to wear these masks is pretty horrible, and it reflects what's going on right now and what it represents.
Yeah.
And for those who've experienced some sort of trauma in the past, whether it is assault or things like that, or claustrophobia, it can be a triggering event for them.
Yeah, I think when I'm out in public and I'm walking around in a mask, I'm thinking about why I'm wearing it, like you said, and it's that in itself kind of makes you feel uneasy, a little bit anxious. So how can we combat this anxiety?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to understand that this is the reality that we live in. And yes, it is anxiety provoking. And number two, that we have to understand it's not going to be comfortable. So we can't really expect that it's going to be. So accepting that this is the reality. Next thing is reminding yourself that masks are safe. Despite whatever fear mongering is going on, there's actually no evidence out there that suggests that masks are dangerous. And then challenging negative thoughts is pretty important too. So when we're wearing these things in anxious situations, a lot of these negative thoughts pop up. I can't stand this. This mask is making me so anxious. So if we challenge those with, I'm not going to die. I've done this before. I can do it again. I'm helping society and the health of everybody else. That can be very helpful.
And maybe some breathing tricks that you can do as well?
Yes, So I think one of the most important things for people who already know that they have anxiety wearing masks is that they practice it. So what you need to do is practice breathing. So the first tip with that is to practice breathing longer and slower. So you want to avoid this rapid, shallow breathing. And one way to do that is to exhale for one beat longer and do or diaphragmatic or belly breathing. There's also a thing called respiratory muscle training, and for those individuals who have asthma or their breathing problems, they're familiar with this, but it's also done by athletes to increase your stamina and endurance in breathing situations. But you need to practice it over and over in a safe place at home when there is no actual threat, so that over time your brain calms down and you can begin to do this and wear the mask out in public. So you start out at home and then you increase it. So if you can't do it for a minute, do it for 30 seconds. You can't do it for 30 seconds, do it 10 seconds. You want to build up your tolerance to wearing the mask, and then the next step is you take it outside. Perhaps go for a drive wearing your mask, until your anxiety calms down. So that's essentially called systematic desensitization. And so the more you practice it, the better you'll be. And of course, take breaks. I mean, that's a real big thing. Know your limits. Me personally, if I wear a mask longer than 45 minutes straight, my ears hurt and I'm just over it, so I make sure that I take a break, go someplace where I can take the mask off safely in a secluded area. And of course, make it fun. Again, this is our new normal for a while. So we need to try to figure out a way that we can, have it be not a huge burden on us. So choose your mask style. Find one that's comfortable for you. There's different types of cloths, and of course discuss it with your doctor if you really think that you have an issue. And of course children, many of us are trying to help our kids wear masks.
Yeah.
So the biggest advice I'd say for working with kids is make it fun. You can play a game, for example, try to have them recognize the emotion, underneath the mask. And then again, have them practice wearing it at home also.
Yeah, and I think too, as you said, when we think positively about the why are we wearing this, maybe we can, have discussions with our kids too about like we're helping people, right? And instead of it being more of a negative, scary thing.
Exactly. Yeah, you can play games, pair it with some positive reinforcement, hugs or treats and things like that.
Are there
And
any exemptions here from, because we talk about that, not, the governor has said not everybody has to wear one. What are some of those exemptions?
yeah, right. I think the most important thing to realize with that is that there are no blanket exclusions for adults about wearing masks, and even the ADA has no specific rules. But in general, it falls under two categories. And the first one is those people who have breathing problems where a face covering would actually impact their breathing. And we're talking about like less than maybe 1% of all asthma patients, for example. So the second category would be that people who wouldn't be able to remove their masks on their own in a safe way. So perhaps those with profound intellectual disabilities, those that are nonverbal, and children, young children also would fall under that category. It becomes a safety risk.
Sure.
A safety risk.
All right. Well, lots of stuff that I have here that I can work on with this. So start that desensitization training and see, if we might start to feel better. Thank you so much for the advice. We appreciate it. Take care. Well, thank you for making